The time is nigh. Open up your eyes to see the signs of the times. Got to be wise to all of their lives. Look to the skies from where my help comes. Wake up, got to wake up from the slumber. Don't let them pull you under. Rise up of the water. Never let them wrestle you into the mud.
Yes, greetings, family. Greetings in the name of His and Her Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, Empress Reserve Menin. Y'all already know one perfect balance. Welcome to Politically Incorrect, where we get it correct. If we not correct, feel free to correct us. Yes, tell a friend and tell a friend. Welcome. Tonight, interesting movie. Are we afraid or misinformed? Are we afraid or misinformed? We're going to take a look at a few things tonight. I don't even know if this is what it is. Are we afraid or misinformed? I'm not going to touch the idea of the new school the government is talking about yet. Education reform. It's quite interesting. The academy, they're looking to develop another conversation. Are we going to look at some stuff tonight? You know, are we afraid or misinformed? I think we're going to take a different approach tonight to the program. And we're going to have a little class. We're going to look at some stuff. There's a book called Nature Knows No Color Lines. You want to write that down? My phone is going to go off, so I need to put this on vibrate. The book is called Nature Knows No Color Line. It's by J.A. Rogers. If you have not heard that, I want you to go and write that down and put that in your archives. I don't even think I have a link here somewhere. Let me see if I can find one. I'll probably look for one. Put it on Amazon or something. If I look it up, I'm sure you can find Amazon link. Let me see. Amazon. There you go. Yeah, I'll post it. So those of you who want to add that to your library can actually go take a look and see. I'll put this up where you can go see. Nature knows no color line. Nature knows, no color line. And we're going to discuss that a little bit. There's some information in that book that might blow your mind. Because I think right now that is either we are afraid or misinformed. Because a lot of things are happening and it's like, what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Like, what are we waiting for? The issue of crime is being discussed again somewhat. We have Mr. Ralph Torn speaking. I don't want to misquote him this time. Well, actually, I didn't misquote him the last time either, quite frankly. But I don't want to misquote him on this occasion. As was thought previously. I know what he said, and he said what he said, and the video is there to see. So who disagree, and it's quite fine. But I understand the explanation, albeit not necessarily required. I do get it. But we're going to look at his thoughts tonight on how we're going to tackle this crime issue. And also we're going to look at the homeless situation and the need for police assistance. But I thought some stuff stuck out to me I thought was quite interesting. So we're going to touch on that too. But anyhow, family, go tell your friend to tell your friend that Politically Correct is up and running. And by the way, definitely got to give a shout out to the tile boss. I got to shout out the tile boss. I'm just going to leave it at that. But I give thanks, brethren. And I also got to shout out Sandra, for sure. And also I got to shout out Richard, And one day I got 3 different people ran upon me telling me about, in fact, one individual said, I was watching you up to this morning. And it was interesting because I usually don't be thinking about it. I do the program, we are here in the program, we unplug, and that's it. It ain't no like in an alternate life. It's like, we go back to our regular scheduled program. And so sometimes I gotta be, oh yeah, right. I don't be clicking like that, but I give thanks for the support. I give thanks for the feed forward. I really give thanks for the feed forward and the encouragement. I gotta say that too. I also gotta shout out, man, I don't know if I could call his name. Maybe I shouldn't call your name. I probably won't call your name, but you know who you are. We spoke today. He who is far and away, all the way. Shout out to the family in Spain and Portugal. politically incorrect, new territories, man. But I give thanks as well for he who should not be mentioned, but was mentioned. Anyhow, Tim, what up, Tim? Good night to you, Tim. Tim, you're going to love tonight, man. From NC, North Cackalack. That's where it's at. Wait, hold up. We mean NC, USA. Tell me, you in North Cackalack? You in North Cackalack, Tim? Confirm. We need confirmation, man. Shout out to Eitel Fest, the whole Eitel Fest crew. If y'all miss first night program, Eitel Fest came on Tuesday, man, and they dropped the information again. It was a packed house. Shout out to Strand Fi, Scrub, and the sister Idika, Idisha, and the General Bishai. Shout out to the whole crew, the whole family. Shout out to Boofer. Shout out to Greg's, the whole Greg's camp, the straight up Greg's camp. Y'all already know, man, where to find me. It's all good, family. Wait, good night to you too, Monica. Greetings to you. Greetings. King Alfred. Greetings to the Rastaman and the viewers. Well, greetings to you too. Jackie. Stay posted. Don't go too far. I'm going to shout you forward for sure. Greetings, family. Pedro. Man, somebody was asking about you today. Yeah, they said we had Pedro. He always on. Pedro don't miss a beat, yeah. Yeah, Pedro. They got their eyes on you, Pedro. Show your corn, man. You don't call them foul. Greetings to you too, Daffodil. Greetings. Yeah, Tim said he in North Cackalack. Yo, I shouldn't even talk about that. I ain't been to North Cackalack in a minute, Tim. But I know all about the Cackalack, the North Cackalack, man. It wasn't easy back then, man. It wasn't easy, boy. I ain't gonna leave that alone. That was another life, Tim. That was when it was lights, camera, action. Man, oh man. There was sometimes, Tim, you look back at life, really and truly, man, one of these nights, we should do like a call-in program, like, confessions. You call in and, you confess something, man, that you're trying to get off your chest. Something that just been sitting there for a little too long, man. We're going to do a confession show. What do you think about that, Daffodil? Call-in program, man, confession. These are my confessions. And just, say the things you need to get off your chest. Empty yourself, man. Detox, not just physically, but detox mentally as well. That's an important thing to do, man. Stop carrying around weight. Somebody upset you, man. You need to let that off your chest. Or you upset somebody, you need to apologize. You know what I mean? Because we all go through things, man. And sometimes we do things in a moment because for different reasons. And then we have regrets. Y'all don't think that Judas regret what he did? In fact, the Bible says that Judas went after he betrayed the Christ and hung himself. Well, if that's not a sign of regret, I don't know what. But in a moment, that 20 pieces of silver, boy, that caught him. It caught his attention, huh? Was it that, or was Judas afraid? Or was he misinformed? Serious question. Down to visit my brother. All right, well, tell your brother that your brother in Barbados and the rest of the family, we send the sunshine, even a little rain, perhaps, man. Even a little rain. Shout out to Frank. Frank, how you doing, Frank Lowe? Blessings, family. Blessings to you, too. Lisa, greetings to you, Lisa Gittins. You're going to love tonight's program, family. Are we afraid or misinformed? We're going to take a look at the book. Like I said, Nature Knows No Color Line. Nature Knows No Color Line. If you've never heard of that before, family, stay tuned for tonight. It's going to be an interesting program, a bit of revelations, and some questions, especially about Barbados. But we're going to get into it, family. Not too deep, but deep enough, man, that seeds are planting tonight. Somebody say, yeah, seeds are planting tonight for sure, man. We always come on and we talk about the politicians and politics, different events, but come on, man. We also got to balance this with some upful energy and some power. We're going to speak some power to truth. You see, the problem in Barbados is either folks are afraid or they are misinformed because there's no way you can see what's going on and be comfortable with it. Like, there's no way that should be happening to me because folks should be up in arms when it comes to certain things. When they hear certain things and learn about certain things, enough is enough, family. So this is what's going to happen here, man. Maureen, greetings to you too, family. Greetings to you too, all day, every day. Another thing I want to do too is I'm going to play Well, look, the rainy season coming in. The rainy season coming in, first of all, and a lot of folks have water tanks. And one of the things I want to speak on is let me put this here. How to clean your water tank. And I won't get too deep into it because I think that a lot of apartments, let me just go this way first. Let me say it this way first. A lot of people rent apartments. Well, if you have a private home, that's another conversation. But a lot of people rent apartments. And some of these apartments, especially the newer ones, have these, the black water tanks. And y'all know the water tanks you find outside. Sometimes they hide them, sometimes they don't hide them. But I remember once I was renting an apartment, a very brief period in my my nomadic experience here in Barbados. I came home one afternoon, man, and the tank, it sounded funny. Anyhow, to make a short story long, a pipe was broken, the water was leaking, all kind of stuff. The motor was running, but there was no, the tank just shut off. And so something was wrong with it. Something broke off. So to fix it, the guy had to come by and empty the tank. Okay, no big deal. Sounds pretty easy. But I waited, he didn't come. Eventually I left. When I came home the afternoon, I got to where I had to go to the site. I was at the apartment in the back of the building. There, actually, I was right next to the tanks in the back of the building. And the whole thing was concrete right up the steps. It's a long walk. It's massive. It was a pretty big building. So as I was going up these steps, and I started looking at the ground, it looked kind of strange, it looked really strange. It looked kind of funny. Like they painted the area, like they painted it. I'm walking. It's a long walk. It's maybe at least 50, 60 feet. It was a long walk. And so I got there now and saw the tank was back up and running. I said, okay. But even that whole area looked funny. And the lights on the side looked funny. Anyhow, first light, sunrise, I'd come outside now to tend to my plants, because I love my plants. And I looked on the floor and I realized, what is this? It was a brown cast, like a layer on the floor. I'm like, when I rubbed it, and it's like dust, and I looked at it like, what is this stuff? What is this stuff? But guess what, family? Anybody want to guess what it was? Let me see if I can guess what it was real quick. Greetings to you too, Trudy Ford. Greetings to you too. This is the same Trudy Ford I know. This is the same sis I know. It's good to see you, sis, family. Long time no see. Business do have some connected to the South Carolina. Yo, Tim, let me tell you something, right, Tim? No, you and I didn't have any conversation about the connection to South Carolina. I didn't know you was going to South Carolina or North Carolina for that matter. What I will say to you is that nature has no color lines. Nature knows no color lines. Why the spirit led me to that is a whole different conversation. But family, there's a relation between the two. And it's interesting that, you gotta love the ancestors, man. Like we gotta give thanks for them all day, every day, man. Greetings, y'all gotta stick around. I'm gonna show you that book in a minute. One or two parts of it, mainly one specific part for one reason. For one reason that we're gonna have a conversation about that, family. But anybody want to guess what it was? Maureen said it was sludge. Well, technically, it depends on how you define sludge. But it would have been sludge because it was a buildup. If sludge by definition means a buildup of material, then yes, it was sludge. But what kind of sludge, Maureen? That's the question you got to answer now. What kind of sludge? Sludge. The brethren, greetings to the family, Rastafari. Your brother said Sahara dust. It almost looked like it, quite frankly. You're close enough, man. Close enough, man. Nubian, greetings to you too, family. Greetings. Listen, by the way, the brethren said he want to come on the live. Numbers on the screen. If you want to come on the live, just type in you want to come on the live in the comments. I'll probably see it and I'll pull you right in. That's not a problem. Come on in if you want to actually join the live. It is not a problem. But here's the question though. Anybody else want to guess? Take a wild guess what it was? I'll give you a hint. In fact, if you want a hint, tell me you want a hint. Tell me you want a hint. I won't give it unless you said you want a hint. You want a hint? Tell me you want a hint. And I'll give it to you. But we're going to go through some stuff tonight, family. We're going to touch on some things tonight, man. And it may be a little sensitive to some. In fact, it probably will be sensitive to some. And and I wait. Hold on a minute. Wait, so man, I jumped the gun. Pedro said limestone. No, Pedro. Well, it might have been a mixture of limestone, but it might have been a mixture, but it was definitely rust and like Pedro said, Maureen, lime scale. It might have been the rust and some limestone combined. But yes, it was, man. Sediment from the limestone. It was probably all the above. It was brown, like rust. It looked like copper. Imagine, like I said, it's a concrete area. My steps was about 40 something steps to this location, long steps. It was a good way. And it was covered the whole distance, man. So I had to call him. I called the guy. In fact, the guy came back to do something else that was glued. He had to check something, whatever. So I was like, yo, what's all this stuff right here? He said, oh, that was the stuff that came out the tank. I said, came out which tank? This tank? He said, yeah. I said, what's this? He said, that's the rust from the pipes. I said, the rust from the pipes? What's up with the filter? No, he went for the filter that he changed that was behind the tank on the ground and showed me the filter. Family, the filter looked like clay. It looked like clay. In fact, the whole thing looked like it was clay. It was rust, family. And he said that he's the one that installed these in the building when the apartments were built about 10 years ago. He said he's the plumber for the building, for the landlords. He said, nah, I'm the one that does all the work here. I said, so when last you cleaned these tanks? He said, when last you cleaned these tanks? So these tanks don't get clean, big man. I said, you for real? So I tell myself, look, man, that is crazy, yo. So I'm saying to you, family, if you have a water tank outside your house, listen, you got to clean it. Just don't change your filters because there's sediment in the tanks. You got to have to get somebody to come and take a look because that rust, family, I could not believe it. And the filters look like a canister, look like a clay cylinder. So that wasn't, I don't know how that was filtering anything. The particles might have been so small, but trust me, you know, that just can't be good, family. It cannot be good. No matter how you splice that, it can't be good, man. Greetings, Noel. Greetings, grand night to you too. Invest in wall the filters. Nah, Noel, we have them on our houses. The filters look like, the filter canister look like a clay cylinder. I could not believe it. I could not believe it. Clumps, it was crazy. You would have to have an external filter to the tank to change at least 3 times a year. No, these filters were outside, Maureen. These filters were attached to the back of the facility. And in fact, there were 3 tanks. 3 tanks, and none of them tanks was ever clean. None. In fact, yeah, the monkey jumped on the top and broke something and broke the pipe. That's how I remember. That's how the pipe was broken. And I heard and the water drained to some level, and it was just burned out. The motor was being burned out, compressor. And he came and sorted out. The next day, look out there, it was like clay all over the floor, man. It was not dying good at all. I have that issue with my pipes in the area. Listen, family, if you have a filter system, sort it out. I came across a video. In fact, I'm going to share it. I want to share part of it, and I'm definitely going to share the link so that the information could be disseminated. If you know somebody, if you have a friend, a family that has a water tank, please copy this video, send it to them, family. There's a lot of other issues going on in Barbados. Yes, crime is one of them. Yes, mental health is another one of them. In fact, I think the mental health issue is connected to the crime to some degree, but we're going to discuss that another time. The Sister Monroe Knight said that it was connected to the slavery, enslavement, and the ancestors. To some degree, she has a point, perhaps not in its totality, but indeed. But not just crime, though, Miss Monroe. Like I was saying, psychologically speaking, mental health, the mental health issues that a lot of people face right now is a result of generational trauma. So yes, violence, really, not specifically crime, but violent domestic violence, child abuse, in terms of the work ethics to some degree, a lot of stuff is connected, and we don't want to be honest about it, but we're going to get to it here on Politically Incorrect. We ain't going to point the finger and blame the youth for the crime. It's a lot bigger than that. We're going to touch on it tonight, though. Y'all going to learn today. I promise y'all tonight, y'all going to learn. I promise you. And that's a promise I intend to keep. Beverly, what's going on, man? Good night to you too and everyone. Good night, good night, good night. The carbon filter might work better. That is the truth. The carbon may work much better. But you also got to, I don't know, there's different kinds of filters, and perhaps we can get some experts to come and speak on it, because I am not I'll look into it, I'll answer some questions. That company in the Pine called Roller Plastics, Roller Plastic tanks. I can't vouch for nobody else's tanks, but I get all my tanks from Roller Plastic. Big shout out to Roller Plastic, by the way. The whole staff at Roller Plastics, good people putting in work. And so, yeah, I find those are better than some of the others I've had. I've had other tanks which kind of crack and kind of broke apart a little easier. It wasn't as durable. So I'm Roller Plastic all the way. So perhaps we get somebody from Roller Plastic to maybe share a video or some information on how to best, keep your tank in working condition. But yeah, Maria, I definitely feel you on that one, sis. Those cotton filters don't work as well. But you see what I'm saying now? Thanks for the information, Maria. The cotton filters, they say don't work as well. If you have the same experience, family, drop a comment. Let us know if that is so. Or tell us what kind of filter you use. Because again, it's information. We're sharing the information. We ain't gatekeeping and blocking the knowledge. We're sharing it, man. We're sharing it for sure. Stolen cars from England is also a crime in Barbados. Noel, I'm telling you, as far as stolen cars in Barbados being a crime in Barbados, misappropriation of funds and the Auditor General not getting the information from these ministries is also a crime in Barbados. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's all I say, Noel. That's all I say, man. Overworking the nurses in the hospital and underpaying them should be a crime in Barbados. Teachers who go in school and not teaching the children but collecting a salary and don't care nothing about the children, also while they're at it, abusing the children, call them all kind of names and insulting them psychologically, should be a crime in Barbados. No, don't start me tonight, man. No, I on a roll lately. You want to see what's going on, family? I'm telling you, man, pay attention. Pay attention. Don't poke the bear. This is politically incorrect. Straight. That's what's going on, family. Here we're going on right now, though. Let me play this video. Let me add it to the screen. Bam. There you go. So, as y'all can tell, just for the record, though, I can let it play. I'm gonna let part of it play. In fact, no, I'm gonna jump to it. All right, so this is basically from the Water Authority's website, YouTube Water Channel. They channel, and I give thanks to the folks that put it together. Barbados Water Authority. I'm using this for educational purposes. Don't watch the face. But the brother here came on, Shane, the presenter, and this young
getting you ready in terms of looking at storage. This week, we're focusing on those personal tanks that many of you have at your homes, and it's all about sanitizing them in the event that there is a hurricane or a system affecting Barbados.
All right, so one of the things they also talk about in this particular program is how to sanitize your tank as well using Clorox and bleach. And so I want y'all to pay attention. Like I said, I'm going to play part of it or one or two parts of it, but I'm definitely going to share the link. Why? Well, hurricane season is coming up again. And I know a lot of us don't necessarily pay attention because we're busy trying to keep the roof over our head, no pun intended. But family, you got to pay attention and keep track of these things because, having water stored is good. Having polluted water is not so good because you might be doing yourself a disservice, your family, your children, your elders, you know what I'm saying? So, and your pets or whatever else. So let me just drop this science real quick.
What do you do? Well, to help you with that, we have Nicole Austin here with us.
Shout out to Nicole Austin, by the way. She seems very versed in this, and perhaps she can perhaps, who knows, do an updated version or whatever else the case. But check this out, family.
She is a water quality technologist at the BWA. We're focusing on maintenance this week. Nicole, what can you tell us about making sure that these tanks are well sanitized in the event that we are struck by a system?
Hi, yes. Good day, Shane. What we're going to talk about today is the personal tank maintenance. And as the hurricane comes, please remember, listen out for your notifications and start storing your 5 gallons per person in your household per day. And
okay, so just a quick note again. She's saying 5 gallons per person for 5 days. So again, Let's pay attention, family.
For the personal tanks, what could happen is, since these tanks work from a flow-through system that has a pump that's done with an electrical supply, as well as water coming in constantly from the BWA main, you may be without electricity and you may be without water coming from there. So therefore, you're going to have this tank there with stagnant water sitting there for a while. If this happens, what you can do to sanitize this tank is to use normal, regular household bleach to clean out this tank. We have
back to the bleach again.
Back to the bleach again, your regular household, regular smelling bleach. What we have is for 1 gallon of household bleach per 1,000 gallons of drinking water storage. So for the 450 or 500 gallon tank storage, what you're going to use is a 2-liter PET bottle of bleach. And if you have a 250 gallon water tank, you're going to use 1/4 of gallon or 1 liter of bleach to just pour into the top of that tank.
All right, family. So you see some statistics there on this, some numbers there on the screen to pay attention to in terms of if you're going to sanitize your tank yourself. Otherwise, according to Noel, he's a plumber on his side. You can give Noel a call, or perhaps your local plumber could do just as fine. But if you choose to do it on your own, again, do some research, family, get the ratios correct, and make sure you follow the script accordingly. You don't want to use too much and then again contaminate in a different direction, and then you're worse off or back at square one. So like I said, I want to copy this link, and let me go ahead and copy that and post this link in the chat so that you can pay attention to this as well. Pay attention to this as well, family. It's that time. And regardless of you're watching at home or abroad, wherever you are right now, you have a tank, especially the Caribbean people, my Caribbean family. Pay attention to this, like I said. And this video here has a lot of information. I found it to be very informative myself, and I learned a few things from it. So
you're going to make sure that the valve is off from the BWA main or from the BWA meter leading to that tank. You're going to pour in that bleach. Please be careful as you do this. And then you're going to allow it to sit in this tank for 24 hours.
I really wanted to see how that lady was going to get on that whole top platform right there, but they did it. I'm trying to see how she going to get on top of that now. But anyhow, they cut to it. My point though, family, is I like this video because, like I said, this young lady gives specific instructions. I mean, a novice can follow this. Or like I said, you could call your plumber or get Noel a show. But again, family, pay attention to the quantities, the ratios.
And then you're going to allow it to sit in this tank for 24 hours. During that 24 hours, you can continue using the water that you would have stored in preparation for the hurricane, the 5 gallons per person per day. And during that 24 hours, that bleach is going to sit in there and sanitize the tank. Now, what is very important is that after the 24 hours is finished, you want to make sure that the lines leaving that tank is also disinfected. So you will have a very disinfected system of water within this tank. And now you want to make sure that the lines going into your home and at every kitchen sink and the bathroom and the face basin, you want to make sure that those lines leading to those pipes and faucets are also disinfected and sanitized. So nice. After the 24 hours, you open up every pipe that is fed by this tank. Every single pipe, you make sure you walk around and you allow that water to come out through that line.
All right, family, see, you got your instructions. Go handle your business. The link is in the comments right there. Make sure you go and watch the rest of the video. Watch it again, watch it a few times, but definitely go share it with your peoples. Go make sure you check that out, because like I said, it's a lot of information that may come in critical during this season. They keep claiming that we're getting more and more close to the more severe weather storms and whatnot. Like, I don't know, but what I'm saying is that prevention and having a solution or having an idea of what to do will make a difference in the event that something was actually supposed to happen. So go check that out, family. Give me your thoughts again on that, and we can go from there. I saw a comment there, Pedro, just now that I thought was interesting. You said generational trauma from slavery. Who put that in them head? privileged like Beckles and Commission. Now, why you said that, Pedro? Why you said that? Was okay and was okay. MW showed tonight 300 cars from UK. Wonder how many guns and bullets was in the trunks. Okay, MW show. I guess the MW is Marcia Weeks. I'm gonna show that tonight. They talked about the cars. Well, yeah, I seen the clip. I seen the information, and far as I'm concerned, nothing to see there. You know, nothing to see there, man. Nothing to see there. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. 300 cars. First of all, a container can only hold two. A container can only hold 2 cars. Maybe 3 at best if it's a 40-foot. But all I'm going to say is 300 cars, that's a long operation. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you something else. There's a lot of things that go on in Barbados that been going on and still going on that nobody talks about. So, don't get me wrong. 300 cars, we got bigger issues, man. And as far as guns hiding in cars and containers, again, I keep telling you, the guns ain't the issue in Barbados, The guns are not the issue in Barbados. I'm sure that every other community in Barbados outside of the African descendants have guns. I'm sure that a lot of African descendants have guns, whether they registered or otherwise, that don't get involved in crime or mischief. We're trying to make it seem that the guns is the issue in the hands of black people in Barbados. I'm sure the Indian community got guns. I'm sure they got plenty of guns. You don't see them showing nobody nothing. You don't see them complaining about anything. I'm sure the white community in Barbados, or what they call the Bajan white community, have guns. I'm sure the foreigners who come here, or your Europeans who come here, who migrate, who live here, I'm sure they have guns. I'm sure politicians have guns. I'm sure business people have guns. I'm sure a lot of people have guns, that they're not involved in crime. So the idea that the guns is the problem is again, it's a scare tactic. Are we afraid or are we misinformed? You're being forced to be fearful, because once you get fearful enough, they're going to take everything from you and you're going to give it up willingly. I promise you, you're going to give it up willingly, man. Scared to death. Take everything, man. Move my curtains from the house and all. You can see right inside. I want glass walls now. Live in a glass box. You can see right through. All in the name of security, because we scared or misinformed. Which one, family? There's an ad for the retail store that says we have it all. When it comes to crime, I think that ad is fitting. We really do have it all. Man, listen, I keep telling y'all, crime is linked to poverty. You can't separate the two. So if we're talking about crime, let's discuss poverty. The PM just borrowed another $54 million to help stop that beach erosion. I asked, who is going to be paying back these monies borrowed? $54 million to stop beach erosion. I would like to think that a couple boulders would do the trick, but that ain't none of my business. It's funny how we call it beach erosion when, Barbados is a result of beach erosion. It was formed because the sea formed it. We trying to stop what nature is dictating. If anything, that's what it is. But there's a reason for that, I suppose. They could build up some more rocks and extend the land, and perhaps they built Barbados from scratch. Who knows? Greetings to you too, Bishai. Greetings, family. Greetings from Antigua, Rwanda, all the way in Antigua. Shout out to Rwanda, away and abroad. I hope you're enjoying yourself, enjoying your stay. I gotta give you a call tomorrow. Tell you go shout some people. Go check the idle spot, Rhonda, down by the bus, down by the van stand. You gotta go check the idle spot down by the van stand on that side, opposite the Botanical Gardens. You gotta go check that spot. The best place to eat idle food. Well, let me phrase that. One of the best places to eat idle food in Antigua. Down by the shop, right down that side there, opposite the Botanical Gardens. You gotta go check it out. Make sure you tell her Emmanuel sent you. I'll leave it at that for now. Greetings, family. There are survival books about all display of step-by-step instructions. They got you covered, King. We actually working on one ourselves, but I'll keep you posted on that. You call it sanitizing the tank. Well, I think result because I think they're claiming that once if the water comes into the tank, sometimes during a hurricane, during the water line, sometimes the water is contaminated with bacteria or other things. You know what I mean? Wells overflowing, feces and stuff. So I suspect it has a lot to do with that as well. And not just, the traditional cleaning, but you definitely got to clean your tank for a number of reasons. Not just because it's hurricane season or something happening, but for your own health. Noel said it's best to do it ever so often and install external filters. So a distraction. You mean the cars are the distraction, right? All of a sudden they stop the cars. It's crazy. Anyhow, I ain't getting into that, man. I have an issue with the cars coming in, period. Especially those EV, those hybrid vehicles. I don't think Barbados should allow no reconditioned hybrid to come into Barbados because Barbados in for a rude awakening in a few years. I've said it before. Those batteries don't last. In fact, the manufacturer tell you 8 to 10 years, and that's under normal conditions. Barbados is all heat. We got heat, and more heat. You might get your 8 years, you might get your 10, but when you bring a car that's reconditioned and 5 years already gone, 6 years already gone in this hybrid vehicle, the battery doesn't get the stuffings beat out of it. Yet you have it down here now in Barbados, and they sell these cars expensive as ever. I keep telling you, they don't tell you that the battery liable to die in 2 or 3 years. Don't come back to me, They don't tell you that part. So when you car park and you can't even use it, or it can't function the way you bought it to function, man, I don't know, boy. I don't know. I'm just asking questions. Is there some sort of contingency plan for that? It was in the news about the stolen cars. The British was investigating these cars for a long time. I bet they were. But I don't know if Barbados is the only place these cars went, man. I'm sure there's all other places all over the world, man. Stolen cars is a big business, man. And people who steal cars and sell car parts, they know what's going on, man. They know what's going on. Ain't nothing new. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you too, brother. Dog hunter is legal. Own a dog hunter for protection. Well, there are different kinds of dog hunters here. Noel, you might gotta be specific. Those two groups help bring him in. How are you going to stop Mother Nature? No, come on. Beryl taught them that last year, man. No, they got bigger rocks and bigger boulders, trying a different thing. Man. But I understand it, man. That's the nature, man. She borrowed the monies to help protect some of those who hotels. In terms of from getting washed away, I follow you, Noel. Crime seems to be more connected to politicians, not poverty. No, Sonny. Both one of the same, man. Politicians invent crime to promote poverty. You get it? It's all related, man. It's relative, totally relative. What it gives, it takes it back. What it gives and it takes it back. No, I agree, Rhonda. I with you. Rhonda say, okay, thanks. You got to check out I make sure you shout out the people. Tell them Barbados send you down there to get some of that beautiful idle food. One of the best places to eat in St. Vincent, in Antigua. Shout out to all the Antiguan family, man. Shout out to the brethren and sisterin up there in the Ibernacle, up in the hills. Beautiful experience, man. Love Antigua. All right, the same way the stolen cars come in, it's the same way guns and drugs come into BIM. I'll tell you something, man. Shout out to Easy D too in the building. Easy D, greetings, family. Let me say this, family. Let me go into another video here real quick, because that's the other thing I want to touch on before time. I'm not going to be on here too long tonight. I see time already getting away. Wait, hold on. Let me. Let me put this one instead. Let me do this one. Let me do this instead, family. Give me a second. I should save this for last, but I want to get to the other book I was telling y'all about. I want to play this video. I thought it was interesting. It came on a few days ago, and I had it to play. I just didn't get around to it. But I want y'all to pay attention to this right here as well. Let me go ahead and switch this right here real quick. Because I noticed recently they're talking about a new variant is on the horizon. And in line with the fact that there's a new variant, there's also some conversations about some information. Give this video a listen, family, and share your thoughts.
Barbados remains the Caribbean island with the most comprehensive immunization program. However, Chief Medical Officer Dr. the Most Honorable Kenneth George stresses that despite measles being one of the most infectious diseases, there has been a drop-off in the administration of the MMR2 vaccination, which is given at 18 months. And he remains concerned as there's an uptick of measles seen in some neighboring countries.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, family. I know I talk a lot, but I want y'all to listen, family. I want y'all to listen to this thing very carefully. Please, family. You have children. You got some folks who are about to have children. Children who go into school is almost finished and school is going to start again soon. Understand, this is coming out at this point in time for a particular reason, family. Pay attention.
As there's an uptick of measles seen in some neighboring countries. Dr. George notes it is a preventable disease, with the MMR vaccine being one of the required vaccinations for children in Barbados.
Measles remains the Achilles heel of several persons in public health because of its ability to spread so rapidly in a population, particularly if the population is not appropriately immunized. We immunize our population at 12 months and 18 months. We give MMR1 and MMR2. The levels of MMR1 are at about 85%, and the levels of MMR2 are about 75%. They are not where they are. We prefer in the 90s and higher.
Health practitioners have been advised to identify any unusual rash and fever under the Ministry of Health's rash and fever surveillance mechanism. Measles is characterized by a distinctive rash and fever, which typically starts on the head and face before spreading downward.
We continue to monitor the situation overseas. We know that people can travel while infectious and not showing overtly rash. It occupies a lot of the time for Leslie, who reports on fever and rash as part of her surveillance protocol. And we are taking this extremely seriously, and we will continue to beg the public to take the simple vaccine, which has limited side effects and has so much protection to offer you and your family.
I will play that part again.
To beg the public to take the simple vaccine, which has limited side effects. And
yes, so it has side effects, albeit limited. There are side effects, and perhaps, notice my language, and perhaps you should investigate what those side effects are before you rush into doing something. You see what I'm saying? But I felt that this was critical and needed to be mentioned, family. We got to pay attention to this. I definitely agree with you, family. It is sitting on the batteries that concerns me. Yeah, I don't know, man. We bought into something quick and hot and sweaty, but I don't know. I think we should really pay attention to this situation, especially them old batteries in a country that does flood with water. Well, usually get flood with water. And yeah, anyhow, let that one go. But I don't know, family. I don't know. I don't know. I have reservations for different reasons. But like I said, I think it's best to be informed and not misinformed, because if you're misinformed, you're probably going to be afraid of something that you probably ought not to be. So be informed, get more knowledge. Pulling bleach and presumed dirty water sounds like them taking we for fools. Well, Pedro, I suspect it's about killing bacteria to some degree, because I'm aware that you can add bleach to water based on the amount of water and the amount of drops to kind of purify it to some degree. So I can't say yeah or nay, but you might have a very valid point. Yes, I agree. Stolen cars is a racket, most likely happening throughout the Caribbean. Yeah, that's a whole different conversation. But I guess somebody didn't get what they were supposed to get. So you know how it goes, man. It's just a shift. It's just a shift, family. Everything is being taken away. Noel? What's a woman? And that question hurts heads. Wait, hold on a minute. I missed something here though, Pedro. I don't understand that. What's a woman? That question hurts heads. I didn't understand that one. I missed something, Pedro. My friend had a EV Tesla when it took it into the and take it in for the 5-year service. It was going cost him over 20 grand to replace the battery. That's US 20,000 US. My friend leave the EV at the dealer, buy a hybrid. Less EV is no good. For less EV is no good. I don't want, man. I don't know, man. We got some work to do, family. I don't know how true, but I heard today that some school children have caught. Man, don't answer so, man. Scaby, don't answer so, man. I don't know how true either. I can't comment on that. I personally can't comment on that. These are the same cases popping up in the States, all so the government up to no good, in my opinion. Nah, they up to something. That's why I tell you I played the video, because I had it to play for a minute. So tonight I just dropped it in the slot. But I want to touch on this book in a minute, man. They want more people. It too low for them. Just sickening. Yeah, the number is too low. Like he said, I want the numbers higher, man. I need more. I don't mind some not taking it, but right now, too many not taking it. We need more people to take it. More children. Come, bring your babies and come. I got measles as a boy, although I was supposed to be immunized. That's crazy. Pedro, you've been through a lot, man. Between that and psychologists, you've been through a lot, Pedro. I can't tell you. I think we all might have gone through some effects as children here, well, the Caribbean, because, outside other countries have sometimes more vaccines, but maybe it's the type we get, or I don't know. But anyhow, let me get to this part here I really want to touch on, man. I really want to touch on this. So I want to share this link right now, family, as well. I want to add this to the screen. I want to share this link. I want y'all to take a minute and go. I don't know if you can download this copy. I'm not sure. I think you can download this. If you can download it, when the program is finished, go download it. If you got a separate device right now, you can check on it, try to download it. This is a very powerful book by J.A. Rogers, one of my favorites. And I want to share some stuff as well about, let me see. I just want to jump to it really, because like I said, I want to talk about something that isn't always talked about. We see what's going on in the Caribbean. We see what's going on in the world. And right now, the whole Middle East is a mess to some degree. The whole world, really. But we talk about this whole Iran and Israel, the Jewish people, and they make it clear that they're Jewish. They don't hide that. They say we're Jewish. So they tell you up front that they're not, authentically Jews. And I'm just using this word for descriptive purposes. So don't get there and tell me there's no J and this kind of stuff. We know that. But I want you all to grasp what I'm about to show you here in this book. Nature knows no color lines. This is where we're going tonight, family. Now, what we were not told openly is that the indigenous folks were all pretty much black, or what we consider black, or who we call black, because we use the color as a description for a particular group of people that share a particular pigmentation in their skin. I hope I articulated that well enough to put people on point. So when I use the word black, I'm not using it in the context of a social status. I'm using it descriptively to identify that particular group of people that has a particular pigment or melanin, let me use the right word, that is categorized and categorically referred to as black for some other reasons. notice what I said. So I want to jump into this real quick. Now, if y'all never heard about this before, get into it. You know what I'm saying? Let me go here. Now, let me make it larger if I can. If I can do that, let me see. Yeah, I can. I'm trying to see if I can scale it up a bit more. Nature knows no color line. Can y'all see this clearly? I don't know if you can, probably won't. Let me try to shuffle myself out the way. Let me get myself out the image. Try to get this here for you as close as possible. Now, you might not be able to see it on the screen, but make a note of the pages and you can go to it. And I would try my best here to make sure you can see it as best you can. Yeah. Okay. All right. There you go. All right. So like I said, there's a lot of information in this book, and I mean it's just it's an eye opener. There's the first part is, where did the color problem originate and why? You know, color prejudice among whites themselves, Negroes in ancient Europe or Greece, white and black in ancient Rome. So, you know, like I said, there's a number of stuff you can get into. It's a lot of information. But I want to go right to the juggler, man. You know, right to the juggler. I'm going right to the juggler. So I'm seeing if I can skip forward as best I can. Negro ancestry in the white race. So we're going to touch on some stuff. But let me see if I can skip forward here. If I can... right. Yeah, in fact, there's a lot of, that's another thing too. There's a lot of images from different artifacts have been stolen and placed throughout different museums, different places they call museums, where they hold stolen artifacts. And, you know, possession of a stolen item is a crime. Is a crime. You know, possession of stolen property is a crime. And that's, you know, interesting how the system is structured. But anyhow, another conversation for another time. But I want to get down here. Let me go down. Yeah, I going all the way down. I going down here somewhere. Let me just flip through a whole bunch. There's a lot of information, family. I mean, you start to look at the portraits and information that is collected that mostly exists in Europe. And let me go back a little further here. We talk about coat of arms in Barbados and the trident, right? I want y'all to realize that black nobility, what we call black again, or melanated people, rule Europe for centuries. And it wasn't until the Spanish Inquisition that we were chased out. And I say we because we are the ones that was chased out. You see what I'm saying? Because naturally, we fought against a lot of the foolishness that was going on. And as always, you know, I look at Europe today. It ain't hard to tell. But let me say this, family. When you start to get into this aspect of who you are, who we are, you know, and what brought this Miss Monroe Knight, I don't know if she's watching, but I hope she can watch. She need to go and read this book. I recognize, and you know, these guys with these hands and always commemorate this enslavement, calling it slavery and all this kind of intermittent reinforcement, the ideology trying to keep the people in a state of suffering and always sufferation. Nah. We're going to touch on the black nobility because black nobility did a lot of good, and there's some ones who did some real terrible things and still doing it. That's the point I want to make, and still doing it. The white folks were grafted into this enslavement process in Europe because they were the ones who were perhaps they felt more connected to the northern people who they considered were linked to the Neanderthals, and they were a bit more savage, more violent to do certain things. So they roped them in, pun intended. Yeah, we ain't really want that conversation, right? Because black nobility still rule in Europe today, you know. Don't fool yourself. It's just through the whitewashing and eugenics is the word. Whitewashing and eugenics is why they look how they look. They're trying to masquerade amongst. I told that lady came in, the other lady from the Duchess, right? You saw how her hair looked, right? Okay. Anyhow, that's my point. But anyhow, so when we go forward in this book, and we start to look at some of these images and the noble families, and you start to realize that a lot of these families and different names, they coincide with a lot of local names, but we always assume that they came from white families or people who are of lesser pigmentation that we identify as white. That is really more like a pink. But anyhow, that's not the point I want to make. But yeah, we gonna get to it, man. So the different coat of arms for noble families, and these families all had these coat of arms. So when you see these Caribbean flags, right, with different symbols on them, understand these symbols are symbolic of coat of arms in disguise, not in the blatant stage, but masquerading, because they are cooperations, they are extensions of these families that establish themselves in these regions. Now, why would I say that they establish themselves in these parts of the world? Hold on, we're going to get to it in a minute. And like I said, there's lots of them. You start to look through, you start to see stuff that look a little familiar, things that you start to say, well, I've seen this before somewhere. Yeah, where have you seen this before? And you start to think about it. You think long enough and hard enough, you will see. Yeah, but anyhow, I was going to touch that piece. Anyhow, go through this, family. Again, download the book if you can. Go through it with your family. Let your children take a look at it. Do some research on the information. There's a lot of information, but I want to go someplace specifically. Yes, where we at? Coat of arms, huh? Quite intriguing. Queen Charlotte Sophia, consort of George III, granddaughter of Queen Victoria. Yeah, from the portrait by Thomas Fry. This is 1719 to 1762. Clearly, you can see she's a black woman, right? With her braids and all. But here's the thing. During that time, 17th, the 18th century, were not African melanated people being enslaved in the Caribbean? Were they not enslaved in the Caribbean? Being treated in the worst inhumane ways? Because they were prisoners of war. It was a war. They were prisoners of war. The Spanish Inquisition. Go look it up. I keep telling you all that, man. Let me get forward though. This I want to go somewhere for this specifically. You see this X, you know, you see certain flags with X's on them, namely Jamaica, for example. Anyhow, let me just go through this, man. Let me just go through this, man. Let me go to this. They show indigenous folks. They show individuals with a bow and arrow. They show you individuals with bow and arrow from 1601. This coat of arms is from 1601. If you look at a map of Barbados, maybe I'll look for it tonight and show you. In fact, I don't have it here. I do have it, but I don't have it on me. I could show you right now a map of Barbados that has on one of these very same symbols going back from the 16th century. The keys, they go that red cross, although this isn't red in this particular picture. That image right there is actually a red cross with those black faces and the crowns on their head. Now, why would they be putting crowns on black people's head if we were all slaves? We were slaves, according to some people. We are slaves, and we have the trauma from slavery and that kind of thing, right? We were slaves. They keep telling you that long enough, you're going to start to believe that. But let me go forward. Sultans, let me go forward. Eastern slave market, huh? That's funny. Let me go forward. Because in these pictures, it don't look like black folks are the ones who are enslaved, but I can leave that alone for now. I want to get somewhere. Let me go forward some more, family. I'm not looking at the comments, so give me a second. I'm going to get back to that in a minute. 16th century. 121. Here we go. Here we go. This is where we want to go. Let me check on the comments real quick before I go any further into this. I'm gonna get this in a minute, family. She said his body language shows a dangerous. It's dangerous, and his voice tone. Yeah, you picked it up right. I noticed it too. I noticed it. Emmanuel just said, side note, why did some of these men? Why do some of these men talk so timid? Nah, well, when you man, you know why he can't talk. You know why he talking timid. You know why he trying to convince you of something that he knows otherwise is not so. So he trying to sell a story, but he don't know how to sell it. So he's like Daffodil said, his body language speaks for it, man. It says it all. But he might be a gentleman. He might know there are such thing as gentlemen. He might be a gentleman. That's all it is, or a gentle male. I don't know. Whatever it is, man. I don't. I don't know. I don't know, man. Shout out to the Queen joining us. Stop giving your child these things. Again, family, you got to make informed decisions. I don't tell you to do or don't. I tell you to be informed. Because if you're not informed, you're misinformed. And if you're misinformed, you're going to be afraid. And if you are afraid, you're not going to make wise decisions. In fact, fear stops you from thinking because you normally react. So the thing is, at the time, your actions on a physical plane might be in your interests. But you see, when you're making decisions because somebody put you in fear, like in the situation that happened a few years ago, you all remember that thing, and people were afraid and did it because of fear. We talk that kind of fear. That's when you are afraid. Are these EVs coming from the States or Japan? They're coming from all over, as far as I'm concerned. I really mostly from probably they're coming from the East most likely because I don't see too many left-hand drive EVs here, my brother. There's always side effects using people as guinea pigs. All right, let me get down here and see what's going on now. Is that Queen Charlotte? Yes, it was Queen Charlotte. Look, Easy D, know what's going on. Imagine that. This book right here is powerful, family. I'm in fact, hold on. Did I paste the link already? Yes, I pasted the link right there. The link is on the screen, family. Go get this. Go copy it. Download it. Do what you can. Buy a copy. I got it on the library somewhere. You got to get a copy of this thing, family. Let me get down to it. I know you're gonna be some questions, but let me get in this part right here real quick. Hang on a second. Let me jump into this real quick. Let me see if I can get closer on the screen. And, all right, so I'm on page 123. For those who got the book 123, I'm going to go to this part here, man. And this is a section where the gentleman, who is a historian at the time, who was basically traveling throughout Europe. And here's the thing, though: Germany, Holland, Belgium, Austria. He talked with the Negro strain. I like how they put it. And the people of the Northern Europe was already discussed in volume 1 of Sex and Race. But here we go and jump across here. An interesting gradation of all shades down to black is exhibited by the Jews. Amy, black Jews. This is back then. They talk back then. Especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. The Portuguese Jews were very dark. So wait a minute. Understand the time frame of this thing when this is happening. We were told, we're told one thing, but here's something different. Here's something very different. So where we at? The Duchess of the Orontes, wife of Napoleon's ambassador to Portugal, said that the Jews, the Negroes, and the Portuguese could be the same in a single person. The Duchess said the Jews, the Negroes, and the Portuguese could be the same in a single person. So dark were the Jews, especially of Portugal and southern Spain, that many whites throughout that many whites thought that all Jews were black or dark skinned. This belief, said Barbot, shows what an error most people are in, since, he says, the German Jews, as for example those of Paraguay and of the whites, are as white as most of their German counterparts. So wait a minute. So you understand that when we talk about Ashkenazis that converted, that occupied the land that we know now as Middle East, what they call Israel, which by the way is the second location, because the first location was in Africa, in Uganda, but that's another conversation. Why is it that they thought that these folks were all black? Why is it that they thought they were black? But here's another thing. Whites were most of the German counterparts. Many of the Jews were Many of the Jews who were banished from Portugal by John II. Hold on. Let me go back here real quick, family. Now, this is where it gets deep. Listen carefully. Many of the Jews who were banished from Portugal by John II. Y'all ready for this? Let me just go here real quick. Let me zoom out real quick. Hang on. Many of the Jews who were banished, the Spanish Inquisitions, what we're talking about, who were banished by John II. Hold on a second. Let me get back here, right? Let me flip this. See what people look like back then. I recognize what's going on here. Know yourself, family. Know thyself. Man, woman, know thyself. Let me flip there real quick. These black folks. Wait, I think I gone too far forward. I definitely gone too far forward. The book got pages at the end. I might have clicked the wrong page. Hang on. Let me go back. Let me go back. Let me see where. Right here. Okay. Is it? Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I had skipped. This is really like a real book. If you touch on the edge, it flip pages. Anyhow, let me go back here. John II. So many who were banished by John II settled in the West Indies. John Bigelow, who visited Jamaica in 1850, saw the descendants of these Jews and said they were Negroid. But wait a minute. Seriously? What we call the Maroons or the Moors, out of many one people, right? That's why Errol Barrow's family changed their name to Barrow. They were Baruchs. I gotta keep telling you, because he wasn't just any regular man. He wasn't just a regular man. And a lot of them are still in Barbados. Shout out to Jacob Goldbank, by the way. Shout out to Jacob Goldbank. Yeah, let me do that out of respect. May he rise in power. Y'all know what you did. One of the wealthiest landowners in Barbados, man. Black man. to use the term of black Jew is almost redundant at this point, because Jews were, according to the record, black to start with. But anyhow, so where am I going with this? Where am I going with this? Because are we afraid or misinformed? Is it that the people of the Caribbean, specifically Barbados, do not know who they are? Family, again, yes, some folks were brought across as servants to work on the plantations. Yes, some were captured as prisoners. Yes. Some came as indentured servants. Yes. Folks also with the Irish. Well, the Irish didn't look the way they look now. That's another thing too. So we understand that. So Barbados is made up of, an interesting mix of people. The Caribbean as a whole is mixed. I don't want to use the word mix, but a collection of people who came here way before the settlers, way before the invaders, and been here. So when you start to sit back and watch these things unfold, you're told crime, the system, different laws being put in place, and every time you look around, you got to obey. But guess what? A lot of these individuals are still masquerading. They're integrated into the system, and they're playing the part, acting like we all the same when they have a whole different agenda. And the agenda is to re-enslave or re-imprison, a better word, re-imprison those who have grown a little too strong, because the balance is shifting. That's what the election is for. The elections let them know how many people is still under the spell. But now they realize the spell is being broken. There's some things they're starting to do. There are some things they're starting to do. And guess what, family? If you're not, I don't want to use the word upset. If you're not at this point at least concerned or curious, it means you ain't paying attention. If at this point you're not concerned, at the very least, you're not paying attention. So like I said, there's a number of these books, there's several parts of this particular book we could go through. Maybe we should do a book club or something. I know, share books or whatever. You know about me sharing books, but PDF probably. I already give up my books that kind of way. But go check this book out, family. Nature Knows No Color Lines. Go check that out and let me know what your thoughts are on that. Let me get to this other video right here that I want to go to. This is why I'm showing this right now. Let me get to this real quick. Let me share this one instead. Do a full screen. Check the volume on that and put this on the screen. Now, I want you all to understand why I'm going to share this, because it is the thinking of the plantocracy to naturally enslave those who have been enslaved and keep them enslaved. And what's one of the ways you keep people enslaved? You strip them of in fact, the guy with the name Willie Lynch. You ever heard of Willie Lynch? Of course, y'all heard of Willie Lynch. Take the body, strip the body and take the mind, right? Free the body and take the mind. That was his ideology. Free the body, but take the mind. Let me explain how you take the minds, man. Let me explain how you take the minds. Let me just play this really quick as one of the, and I said this, in fact, let me play it first, and I'm going to speak on it afterwards. Let me just put myself in a corner nice and neat, out the way. In fact, let me get this way here, look. That way I ain't in nobody way.
On the question of anti-gang legislation, because while this voices are not going to be silenced on the question of anti-gang legislation, because while this government is propagating the view that crime begins in the humble homes of Barbadians who lack good parents, our position will continue to be that there are very powerful forces in this society who sit and stand at the apex of criminal wrongdoing. We make bold to say that. We have to be courageous. We have to be courageous in confronting that, not because we're wild or anything, but we want the truth. We want to tell the truth to Barbadians. And it must now be an obvious truth that crime is such a lucrative and expensive exercise. At the apex of crime, criminal wrongdoing in this country, are not poor people. They're not poor people. They are very powerful people in this country. We don't know who. This Democratic Labour Party does not know who. But people are not only losing money, we're losing our lives. Every one of us in this room is at risk of collateral injury. We don't know the day that we will drive by and meet a bullet. We don't know the day that we will walk by and meet a bullet. But those bullets are manufactured overseas. They're brought into this country unlawfully, and they're brought into this country very expensively. And if they're brought into this country very expensively, it means that someone or some persons of power sit at the apex of that unlawful industry.
Anti-gang legislation going after the power brokers. You know, the thing about this is, I don't know if you all actually understood what he said. He said, this DLP does not know, this government, this administration coming into power. You know, there's a lot of talk about Miss Motley and her affiliations with certain people and whatnot. And, you know, people questioning that. Again, are Barbadians afraid or misinformed? Because we see these things, we hear these things, and it's like, well, we ain't really know what's going on. You know, what can you say? What can you really say? Well, if you think about a country that was built on crime, a country was built on crime, established on crime, you know what I'm saying? Corruption is the norm, the order of the day. You're expected to do certain things, to be a certain way, because after all, there's a secret, there's a hidden identity for some individuals, and there are folks who have no idea what's going on. So those who know prey upon those who don't know in some cases. When will it change? It will only change when the people who are unaware become aware of what they were unaware of, then make informed decisions. You see what I'm saying? So it's important to recognize that unless we start to teach and re-educate our children, teach your brothers and sisters, teach the folks in your community, teach your family, teach at church. My people, let me say it a little louder, man. Let me raise my mic a little bit. My people are destroyed because they lack knowledge. And the knowledge that they lack is that they don't know who they are, because if they know who they are, they would know the power. Mr. Thorne said there's some powerful people. They may be powerful people, but it depends on how you evaluate power and full. In fact, I would like to think it is a matter of how you calibrate full. Because when last I checked, the Almighty ran things. And so unless we start to recognize that all that is necessary for evil to flourish is that good people do nothing, well then guess what? We can no longer sit back and do nothing. Something got to give. How much more should you defend faith the way they defend folly? I mean, if they're willing to defend folly, should you not be more willing to defend faith? Two men looked to cut off a door and invade a home for two young ladies. And for whatever reason, I don't know the details. Not saying that they had a valid reason, I don't know. But I'm saying to you, my people, you see, I defend yourself, man. Confront evil straight up. Decide how you're going to deal with it. And teach your family accordingly. Teach your children. Teach your daughters. Teach your sons. You know what I mean? We ain't playing that. And yes, I suppose they could bring anti-gang legislation, but Mr. Thorne, with all due respect, utmost respect, as a lawyer, I would like to think that the Bar Association is a gang And there needs to be some kind of anti-gang legislation, because amongst you, look, young lady was disbarred the other day. What's her name? Well, whatever her name was. But if you had to be honest, Mr. Thorne, right now, if you had to be honest, and I ain't not picking you, Miss Morty, you too, because y'all are both, wait a minute, I can't say that. I was going to say both y'all senior counsels, but I don't even know if I should say that. But anyhow, both y'all are considered experienced, I guess, or elder counsels, or whatever you call it, man. I don't know which was the most appropriate term, politically correct term. I don't know it. But you can't tell me that you don't know one or two people amongst you right now, right this minute, that you know should be locked up for the crimes they commit and the level of racketeering and fraud and probably God knows what else. You telling me that you don't know none amongst you? Well, if I outside and I know, if other Barbadian people know, if people outside of Barbados could call names, you in the gang, you in the organization, sorry. Because I would like to think a gang is just an organization. But if there's an anti-gang legislation, meaning that if you in a gang commit certain crimes, you get more punishment. Well, it's not the Bar Association of gang, and therefore that you should get. I mean, you know people amongst you that should be locked up on now. So the question is, are you afraid, Mr. Thorne, Miss Motley? Are you both afraid, or are you misinformed? Because y'all quick to want to bring all these different legislations that impact the people and strip the people from things that are simple and point to all kind of crime. Man, crime was in the Garden of Eden. What I'm talking about. The Bible is based on crime from then till now. And God exact judgment accordingly as he saw fit. He allowed his children to exact judgment as he saw fit. So we ain't on crime, we know who the Crimeans are, man. We know what's going on, man, Mr. Thorne. And I think we need to take a very serious look at the top, the head. The head is a result of the body, and vice versa. The body is a result of the head. So who put it in motion? Right now it look like a perpetual cycle, man. In a loop, stuck in a loop. Stuck in a loop. I had another video to play, right? Yeah, I think another video too. So speaking of crime, though, let me jump into this one real quick before I go. What time is it? I'm out of here, man. See, an hour and a half. Let me play this one quick and I out the door. Out the door, man. Right here. Let me just full screen this as well. I thought this was even more interesting. You know, when they talk about in fact, I ain't going to tell you. Listen carefully to this, family. Listen carefully.
Every day, the police bring someone at our shelter. And so we believe that in training sessions like this, it helps sensitize you on what we do at the shelter, how we do it, and the type of clients that we assist. I know the police have that one done packed already, but we know that the training is necessary, especially when engaging homeless persons on the street. Now, we ourselves go into the communities as we are called, and some communities require police assistance.
Okay, so he's referring to homeless folks and, you know, what they consider homeless folks, although I have a different opinion on that. And, you know, being homeless would suggest you don't have a home. Having drug addiction, for example, having a mental disorder, for example, albeit these individuals do not have a fixed place of abode, it does not mean that the idea of being homeless, like giving them a home, is not the idea. Obviously, getting them the particular help they need should be the objective. That's why this whole thing is structured wrong. It was structured wrong from the start when it was a vagrant society or whatever else it was called. It was started wrong. The intention of it may be noble. I don't even know if that's the case. And I'm saying because I'm not involved in it directly, so I can't speak to it. But what I would say is that I find personally that it may not address the specific needs of the individuals because a person, so as like I said, it's labeled as a homeless society, you know. Look, you know what? Let me not touch that too deep right now, because in fact, hold on, let me let him finish speak first. I'm gonna touch it a little later.
And I would say that especially oysters in the Dover area are a major concern for us. And what people call us,
Oysters and Dover is major concerns. Now, oyster is tourists. Oyster is tourists. Oyster in the only spectacular thing about oysters is oysters Friday night specifically. Oyster is tourists. It's not a major business sector. There's a fish market. Yes, that brings in revenue. I think there's a Quartz and Chafet. Outside of that is the Super Center. Sorry, Massey. Super Center, right? I'm telling my age, right? Massey. And well, not that the other businesses aren't important, but oysters as a town has a historical value to tourists. So tourists go there a lot. Dover also has historical foundations as another tourist sector. That entire stretch, tourists go there a lot. But hold on a minute, let me finish.
I see a homeless person here or there, things have changed, and we will require the assistance of the police service to go into those areas. I use the oysters and the Dover as examples because they are very close-knit areas. And those areas, the guys use drugs, and oftentimes when you approach them, they're very aggressive. Yeah. And so assistance is needed in that area. And we walk the streets with police officers before. We walk the streets a number of times in various areas. And even so, we walk the streets with you during the holiday count that the Ministry of People's Empowerment held for the first time. And we thought that was a resounding success. And the minister will speak to that as there's other holiday counts to come. But all of these, you know, steps that we move towards assisting the homeless, we do it in collaboration with the police. We could go back as far as in the time of the hurricane and COVID, we were called by the police to assist them. They also assist us in terms of making sure that the homeless came off the street and were in our shelter.
All right. So we can identify that some individuals who don't have a fixed place of abode is dependent on narcotics or drugs to some degree, which is a way of self-medicating. It's a psychological thing here. So they're self-medicating to the extreme where they've reached a stage where they're no longer welcome where they were living before, or they've gone to the point where financially they're no longer able to sustain themselves or even their habit, and therefore they find themselves in a predicament. So there's a lot of other underlying factors going on here when you see these people are, you know, in these close-knit societies, well, close-knit communities and whatnot. In reality is most people who engage in drug use, just for the record, are usually in the vicinity of where the drugs are sold, first of all. So they're like they're in this area because they wandered into Dover, or they wandered into Oystins, or they wander here. No, they very close proximity to, you know, what they need to get they daily whatever else it works. So having said that, as far as the aggression and whatnot, I'm sure there are reasons for that. My point, and the point I want to make, is that when you start to treat addicts as criminals, then you create criminals. Because when you try to treat someone who has a dependency as a criminal, and because they get aggressive and stuff, we get that. But that's all part of the psychological issues they're dealing with. And I don't even know if the police are the right ones for that. It might be yes to some degree, but someone who is also then trained in handling people and patients or individuals who might have psychological issues. And believe you me, for the average person, unless a person has chosen to live off grid, if a person's on the street wandering, then they find themselves engaged in the use of drugs. And that's a clear indication they're not just they're not homeless. They might be homeless as a symptom of an illness, but the homeless is not the issue. They don't need a shelter. They need psychological help. And I find that I'm sure that within the shelter, the individuals who might address the psychological aspect of things, I don't know if that is the priority. And the reason why I say that's the priority, because here it is that we have so many people in Barbados that right now mental health is a big issue. It's a major issue. And so if it is such a major issue, how comes we still, and then I'm saying this from a standpoint of observation, there are people that we see that have been on the street from the time I was a lad living in the street. And you can see that they've been living on the street based on how they present themselves. And I don't know if they're part of the same homeless. I don't know how that, if they are or not. But where's the success stories that coming out that we could say, well, this person came through and they're back on their feet. Now they're back in the home, they're living, they're working and doing better and certain things. I'm not talking about somebody who fell out of, financial difficulty and find themselves on the street, nowhere to go, and the ministry, the homeless, to find them some sort of help in the meantime. I'm talking about the ones he's referring to that are quote unquote on the streets and violent and engaging in drugs. How are we really helping them? How is success is going? Because all of it is connected to the same thing. Psych issues, man. And so if we put in band-aids on these gunshot wounds, and then we treating people who have issues, psychological issues as criminals, and the police got to come in. Yes, they get violent. We understand that because we see that. We understand that. But there must be an alternate way to deal with situations rather than putting them in a shelter. And I guess, again, treat them on a level where I guess it is supposed to be, I don't want to say a remedy or just a housing or just a holding temporarily, because believe it or not, you still see the same people. Like, you don't see a different set of people and they move them, then a different set of people and they move them, and they all go into this shelter and they all get reformed and come out all better and whatnot. Like, so what is it? Is it that we're just expanding the shelter, like it's building it bigger and bigger and just keeping people, or what's going on with the shelters, man? I don't know if there's a level of accountability but I don't what's going on with the shelter? What really going on? I'm just curious. I think right now that Barbados has to stop and recognize that there are a lot of young people, believe it or not, who are also homeless. And the thing is, they might shelter with a friend here and a friend there and a friend there and not both. Eventually, man, they get involved in drugs, they get involved in crime, and they get to go to Dodge. And Dodge is another homeless society, because some folks in Dodge are homeless as well. They get in there, they get some place to stay, they get a bed, a cot, 3 hots and a cot, call it 3 hots and a cot. If we're going to fix the issues in the society, we got to really have a very holistic approach, not in words, but in deeds. And accountability is a part of it. And I remember during the budget that there were some questions being asked. This same minister about, I think, this same organization. I don't know if there was ever really any light shed on that, but that's not my point at this point. My point is that if there's no checks and balances and no accountability, then how do we measure our success? How does the society measure the success? Or we just go along and hope for the best? I don't know, family, you tell me. Write a comment and you tell me. Now, I got to make a run. I got to make a quick move. Let me say this, though. I was told that one of the married men had transitioned Gibbs. Now, I don't know the married men. I would never really have found the married men, but they have one song that I do know. And as a tribute, I want to play that for different reasons too. Duality. It has a bit more meaning to me than perhaps the average. And the song is God Bless Bim on Independence Day. You remember that tune? Wow, so they're all one. Hence for the reason for the Star of David. Hence for the reason for the Star of David. Wait, I'm missing something here, man. Y'all want to look? I can't do 2 hours tonight. I on the heavy management, man. So it's sad to see how our brothers and sisters fought for chicken in Jamaica. It shows us we are still lost. Brethren, I don't even know if sad is the word anymore, man. We get so sad that we stop being sad, man. It's like we get numb. And these things make us numb, and they're psychologically designed to make you numb. But you can never lose your feelings, family. Always remember that, man. This is serious. He said the Jews in Israel now are Nazis. King Alfred, man, that's a heavy one there, King Alfred. Send a copy of that book to Ministry of Education to be taught in the schools. There's a number of books I recommend the schools already, man. The schools, and they're about to open a new school, they said, the government, a new state-of-the-art school for reform. It sounds like St. Kofi University, but I ain't gonna touch it, at least not right now. I mean, if they're gonna do it, fine. Once if children benefit, I don't care who starts it, man. Once if in the interest of the children of Barbados, that's what's up. The Maroons held the runaway slaves and returned them. Yes, Pedro. Yes, Pedro. The Maroons did held some runaway slaves, and yes, they did return some of them. Yes. But some Maroons also fought other Maroons and freed slaves, man. If you're gonna tell the story, Pedro, tell the whole story, man. Don't get here and play BLP, DLP on this platform. Don't do that, man. You know full well that some Maroons, like some politicians now, like some Africans back then, white folks ain't going to the interior Africa and carrying nobody. They didn't steal nobody. They bought them from the shores and transfer who was transferable. Let me talk facts, man. The Maroons were freedom fighters after the white man tried to change the status quo towards the black race. Boy, look, that's such a tricky one there here. That's about to take a day just to go through these comments. I can imagine the kind of comments we see right here now. I like the idea, but club sounds good. I like it too. I like it. My phone here going on, family. So look at Ralph and his backup singers. Listen, ease up off for Ralph, man. Don't give Ralph no heat. Nobody I give the heat over here. Y'all don't get here. I'm the one that the prime servant. And Mr. Ralph Thorne, they working on making it a better Barbados according to the agenda that they feel is best for Barbados as they see it. But keep in mind that they're not the only two individuals who have a vision for Barbados. They're not. So I want people to understand that and fully grasp that. We look at Miss Moy, like, she's doing what she feels is best for her peers and her colleagues accordingly. That's what it is. Mr. Thorne do the same for him and his colleagues same way. And when time pass, next 30, 40 years, if we allow it, if we permit it, and it's ran by the East Indians, well, they'll do what's best for them. I mean, and if it was run by the Chinese, they're gonna do what's best for them. If it run by the Syrians, it's gonna be the same thing, family. We spending thought in mud here, man. Too narrow-minded and insular. Look at this here, look, right? Cha. Serious, man, serious. We can understand and even forgive a child for being afraid of the dark. The real tragedy is when men are afraid of the light. Can't touch that one, man. Say Ralph is king. Counsel, please. I am not touching that. I've said what I said, and I done said it already. Y'all looking to get me in trouble, huh? Servant of the crown. I ain't touching it. I ain't touching it. I ain't touching it. I see you, Violet. Greetings to you too. I had you in thoughts only a few hours ago. I'd say call your name too. When the head bad, the whole body bad. But Maureen, I want to be honest, right? Miss Martin didn't come into position and make it bad. Miss Martin don't control the ports. She don't control anything. The private, what do you call it? The permanent secretaries, the civil servants who've been there for eons. You know what I mean? The ministers come and go. These folks been there forever. This issue didn't start now. It was always going on, family. Always. We got to stop pointing fingers and blaming administrations. It's we the people. It's we who got ourselves to blame. We got to fix it. We sat back and watch it happen and then say and do nothing. Even though politically incorrect. I might say something, but the average person whispering in the corner, they'll see me and say, good work, Emmanuel. But they ain't gonna send this video to none of the friends, boy. Nah, boy, you can't let people know you watch that program. You're mad. He be out there crazy, man. I don't know, man. Some love him and some hate him. Some love to hate him and some love him. What are you gonna say, huh? I just doing the works, man. Just doing the works. To end homelessness, if that comes to fruition, I guess he will be out of a job. Pedro, I get it. All right, point taken. You got that one, man. When you try to treat addicts, that's another level. Most of them ain't really homeless. Most have homes. Of course, but the addiction, man, is they're trying to self-medicate. Is something else that's wrong, man. Something else that's wrong. Anyway, family, I can't really stick up too much with the comments. I give thanks for real. I give thanks. And addiction is one of the hardest illnesses to cure, and the addict and their families suffer alongside. Listen, Maureen, that's it right there, man. That is it right there. That is it, man. Thank you. We should call him the deep state. Yeah, we could call him the deep state. We can call him anything we want to call him. But what we also got to do is organize, centralize, so we can mobilize. They're doing what they're here to do, and we need to do what we came here to do. And therein lies the problem. We're not on our jobs. That's all it is, you know. We are not outnumbered. We are out-organized, man. But like I said, I wanted to touch on that tune real quick for the elder in part. So I'm going to drop that real quick.
God bless them on Independence Day, Independence Day, Independence Day. God bless them on Independence Day. God bless them, we hope and pray. Let's all sing a song of praise to them, song of praise to them, song of praise to them. Let's all sing a song of praise to them on Independence Day. Barbados, land of sun, Barbados, land of sea, Barbados means the world to me. Oh, God bless them on Independence Day, Independence Day, Independence Day. God bless them on Independence Day. God bless them, we hope and pray. This little island in the middle of the sea, in the middle of the sea, in the Caribbean Sea. This little island in the middle of the sea, it means the world to me. Oh, God bless them on Independence Day, Independence Day, Independence Day. God bless them on Independence Day. God bless them, we hope and pray. Let's live and work together for the good of our land, for the good of our land, for the good of our land. Let's live and work together for the good of our land on Independence Day.
Yes. God bless them on Independence Day. Pedro said, a man who telling me about what he said, for a man who telling me about this, I'm playing that. I like that one, Pedro. Hold on. Got to watch you closely. You ain't gonna watch me, Pedro. I ain't gonna tell you why you play that tune. You ain't gonna watch me. What a lot of people don't know is that in 1966, in April, Haile Selassie first visited Barbados. And bear in mind, in 1966, April, this is before independence. And he came, he planted a tree, he went to Parliament. They also gave a speech. And Barbados is yet to play that speech that they have recorded, that they saved the recordings of his entire visit. They give you about 2 minutes of I think he was there for several hours. They give you 2 or 3 minutes clips of his being in Barbados. What they never do is play his speech, whether in audio or visual. They don't give it to you. But one of the things he said was that Barbados, great things are expected of you. And this song, God Bless BIM on Independence Day. Understand, he spoke about Barbados independence. This was in April, not November. This is in April. So when these men, the merry men, wrote this song, I don't doubt because of who they would be affiliated with and their social status that they might be privileged to information that the average person may not be privileged to. When they said God bless BIM on Independence Day, as far as I'm concerned, they were referring to the fact that Haile Selassie I, his imperial majesty, said to Barbados and Barbadians at the time that great is expected of you. And when his imperial majesty said that, then, trust me, a lot of things was put in motion because Barbados was not one of the schedules, not one of the original scheduled stops. Barbados has a lot to answer for, a lot. The fact that there's a Bathsheba, a place in Barbados named Bathsheba after Ethiopia. We can get into the lion in St. George, the lion, the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, the elect of God, the conquering lion that's located in the parish of St. George, which, by the way, His Imperial Majesty, the conquering lion, was coronated in the Cathedral of St. George. So yes, Pedro, you can watch me if you want to watch me. But trust when I tell you, Barbados holds a lot of secrets. Either the people are afraid or they're misinformed. Because trust me, Barbados is not what she appears to be. This little island in the middle of the sea, well, in the Caribbean Sea, is the Atlantic. But they might have been misinformed. Well, who knows? The point I want to make, though, is that we know what time it is now. We know. Because we, in this day and age, in 2025, you recognize that every single thing is changing fast. And right now, the whole thing with crime is to put people in a state of fear. Remember a few years ago, you had another, well, I ain't going to say that. You had a different monster that put people in fear. And look at all the things that happened subsequent. Well, guess what is being allowed to play out now that put people in fear? If there's so much money circulating, why is there so much crime? Because it's by design. And if it's by design, then know that there's a designer. Can't miss that one, man. When Bathsheba got its name? Well, that's a good question, Pedro. That's a very good question. Perhaps you can answer that for us next episode. We're going to touch on this thing. See, Barbados got so much information that is not, like I tell y'all, go down to Fisherman's Pub, go to St. Peter, go to Spice Town. Why you think they call it Spice Town? Why you think they call it Spice Town? Go to Spice Town and see the original Scotland district. The Scots landed in the north. They were in the north first for quite some time. In fact, another history lesson, man. St. Lucie, don't start me, man. Barbados is a walking contradiction. Go to St. Nicholas Abbey. Go to St. Nicholas Abbey. Oh, man. Connecting the dots, Mr. Emmanuel. That's right. Connect the dots, Maureen. Remember, they were singing God Bless Our Gracious Queen before. Well, Pedro, if you want the truth, I don't doubt they meant the Gracious Queen, because if you think about it, if these individuals, let me say this real quick, Pedro, since you want me to say it, I know you want me to say it, so I'm going to say it. I said earlier that the Jews were classified as black. They looked like Negroes. They were all black. Barbados had a lot of plantations that were owned by black families, what you call black Jews, owned plantations, owned slaves in Barbados. Well, owned and enslaved, had prisoners in Barbados. We use a different term. Imprisoned their own brothers in some cases. We want to have that conversation. We ain't ready for that conversation. But in reality, when they start to use eugenics, Pedro, to lighten the Jews, make them look a bit more like the German Jews, the Ashkenazis, a little lighter. Oh, you think they did that, Pedro? Through eugenics. So what they created in Barbados was the Creole race, the Creoles, what they call them now. There's not a name to call them. Mulattoes. They call them mulattoes. The married men is only mulattoes. The married men there wasn't nobody white. There was mulattoes. And guess what? With all due respect, when they were saying about the Queen, they might have been singing with the Queen of England. I don't know. Or they might have had knowledge of something else that we don't know. Because you want to be truthful, the real Queen of England and a white woman, Pedro, but you should know that already, man. So what I said is the people are either afraid to speak the truth or they misinform and don't know it. But time will tell, man. Time will tell. Problem, reaction, solution. Order out of chaos. I tell you, man. Anyhow, family, I gotta rule. I gotta go. I just lost the first Empress was there, man. One perfect balance. Y'all already know. Look here, man. When it comes to His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie the First, a lot can be said, but even more can be learned. And so I suggest that we take time to learn from His and Her Majesty. Can't go wrong. I got another tune to play though real quick. Let me switch screens real quick. Pedro, that one was for conversation. This one is for you, man.
Equal rights and justice for all. Right and never fall. Sure. Say what they gonna do. Well, enough for them not to. Say what they gonna do. Them get slew, yeah. Who do you think you are? We're living in a small world. Small world. As wicked as you think you are. We're living in a small world. Small world. As bad as you think you are. We're living in a small world. Small world, as tough as you think you are. We living in the one of them. Alright, that day will come when I shall stand and see all these wicked men.
And the fire getting burned.
They will come when they will try to escape and they will be
no place to run.
That day will come when I shall see their hand in over bombs and bayonets and bullets and guns. That day will come when Emperor Selassie I shall rise the whole of the get to you them from the slum yard. And that day I would love to see the face for all those evil little
race.
And try to take things out of place, run away to space, shoot them in our ears, wow. And the one that judgment to I go get a taste. When them find out say that them can't escape, sadness they send on the people them chase. Smile on my face,
they will come
when I shall stand and see all these wicked men in the fire getting burned. That day will come when they will try to escape and they will be
no place to run.
That day will when I shall see the handing over bombs and bayonets and bullets and guns. That day will come when Emperor Selassie shall write that from the wings of the heavens to the sunrise. Who do you think you are? We're living in a small world. Small world, as wicked as you think you are, we're living in a small world. Small world, as rough as you think you are, we're living in a small world. Small world, as slick as you think you are, we're living in a. Well, now you tell them say again. Escape today, you can't escape tomorrow. Make sure you pay back anytime you borrow. Make sure you don't live no life in a sorrow. Make sure you're not lean and straight like arrow. Make sure your brains are push out in a barrow. Make sure they not walk out and borrow. Yeah, make sure your meditation on narrow. Judgment, that day will come when I shall stand and see all these wicked.
To elevate people, raise the consciousness, man. We gotta fix our own issues, family. Nobody ain't coming to the rescue, man. Never be accounted, family. Better day for tomorrow, man. The Rastafari can liberate the people, man. Real thing, man.
I will remain the same.
I will remain the same. Yelling Rastafari name.
Watch them going up in flames. For all those innocent
Look down the lane.
you have to pay for the shackles and chains.
Pay for the shackles and chains.
For these washing off the brain.
Tell them.
Pay for these guns.
Tell them.
This is understood. Alright, that day will come when I shall stand and see all these wicked men in the fire getting burned. That day will come when they will try to escape, when they will be nowhere to run. That day will come when I shall see them, you know, the bomb, birds and bullets and guns. That day.